Welcome back to the channel that brings you the latest Black Desert console news. My name is Excellence and thank you for tuning in. Here we have our first weekly update for Black Desert console after the huge content drop that we received last week. Today's video is going to be nice and short as we still adjust to some of those changes from last week, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. A couple of things that were not mentioned in last week's notes. Make sure you're putting in your final coupon code for the Adventurers Festival. That'll be next chapter ahead, in which you'll be receiving a Primordial Hammer, Ancient Hammer, Jay's Hammer, 200 Valk stack, as well as a Summer Outfit box and a Never-Ending Adventures box. In the previous notes that came out during the Adventurers Festival, we were stated that we were going to be receiving an Unforgettable Journey box as well. As of right now, updated on the Black Desert console Discord, we are no longer going to be receiving that box, but we do have the other items that we will be receiving, so this is still a great coupon to be inputting. This will expire in 2 months. We also have new coupons such as the Have COL Much Fun and the Go Boss Blitz Party. The rewards will be buffs, perfumes, and Old Moon Fortune Scroll, and these coupons will expire in a week, so you definitely want to grab those if you want to increase the trash loot that we're getting from our grind zones. Lastly, the Pearl Shop has been updated with the new summertime selection, so if you're interested in that Ocean Spray outfit, go ahead and get it because now is your chance. And okay guys, I did want to go ahead and ask you how you were feeling about the damage recalculation. There are a couple spots in which I am finding that the mobs are in fact more tanky, and when I'm doing research in places like Reddit, I do find that overall we are experiencing a more tanky build when it comes to the monsters as well. I haven't experienced too much of the drops changing. I'm still making relatively the same amount of money per hour. However, I do feel like my character has lost some impact when it comes to the damage that is being given or dealt to the mobs themselves. One of the things that I actually did notice is that when using my Awakening Nova, I am actually receiving a lot of misses where I was not receiving these misses before. My accuracy has not been an issue. I went ahead and put up my Awakening Nova to about 1200, 1300 accuracy, and even tested on mobs in the Highlands all the way down to the new Tunkuda, and she is still receiving some misses. However, I will go ahead and put her into Succession, and it looks like she is not missing at all. And when I'm using my hash with a base of like 900, maybe 1000 accuracy, I'm not missing at either of those two spots, once again in Succession Nova and Hissashin. So it does look like there is some things that need to be worked on. There might be some bugs, or there just might be some accuracy calculations or evasion calculations that are not being displayed to us that we kind of need to find out a little bit further as we test out the new damage that is being applied to each mob. So just keep an eye on that, but I do want to let you know that we are receiving some new PVE adjustments. This came from Global Lab August 8th, and they are going live for PC today, August 14th. So it does look like we are still going to be receiving some PVE changes at the current point in time before we get into the PvP changes. So just keep that in mind going forward. You will be seeing that over the next couple of weeks to a month. Speaking of the PvP changes, here's going to be a list of all the PVE changes that have gone live today on PC. I'm not going to go through each skill right now as it is not on Xbox, but I do have a rundown of which classes will be receiving either quality of life buffs or buffs in general, and then we also have classes that will be receiving overall nerfs. So starting with the quality of life buffs and the buffs in general themselves, you'll see that Warrior, Ranger, Sork, Tamer, Valkyrie, Witch, Wizard, Dark Knight, Lan, Archer, Guardian, Sage, and Nova have all received buffs to their classes. Now nerfs incoming will be for Succession Hash, Awakening Sage, Awakening Megu, and Awakening Dosa. I will include a link to the PC patch notes in the description, so when you get the chance, go ahead and see some of the incoming changes to your class so that you can adjust your combos accordingly. There will be changes to the fall detection coming to console in the near future, allow you to use your skills from higher heights without actually having the fall animation that stops you from having protection as well. PC is also receiving titles for chats, so depending upon what you say in chat and how many people like it, you'll be able to receive a 90-day title. Krogdalo has been added to the game officially. This is on PC once again, so we will be seeing this within the next month. Krogdalo is the combination of all 3 mythical horses. This will be attainable once you receive all 3 mythical horses, do the quest for Krogdalo Sanctuary, and then return to Marindora to go ahead and combine all 3 horses into Krogdalo. However, as of right now, the consensus for PC in Korea so far has been to keep the 3 horses and the Sanctuary, as Krogdalo cannot be despawned inside the Sanctuary. And instead, you will need to use a regular stable to spawn and despawn Krogdalo himself. Currently, this is intended from PA and has been included in the patch notes that this is supposed to be an intended effect where Krogdalo cannot be spawned from the Krogdalo Sanctuary or despawned inside the Krogdalo Sanctuary. But one of the biggest features about having the Krogdalo Sanctuary is the ability to actually spawn the horses whenever you want and be able to carry multiple loads or equipment loads on each different horse while still having a horse to ride around. So this has been slightly not well received. And another controversial thing that's coming is the ability to apply all Krogdalo horse set effects when you roar. This will allow you to use the buffs from the ocean, wind, and earth sets when only having one of them. This will keep the same 60-minute buff and the 5-minute cooldown that is applied when using each set individually. There have been some quality of life changes that have been included with the game as well. Firstly, we do have boss notification quality of life changes that are coming to the game. This is just going to have a more fluid transition when multiple bosses are spawning at the same point in time, so you can kind of identify better which bosses you would like to go to. Therefore, if like a Nightmarish Kazarka is spawning or if a Bloodstorm Nuva is spawning, you can readily identify it without sometimes having to switch to your alt to see if it's the correct boss and then switch off if it's not. Another quality of life change that is coming, we are also going to be able to increase the maximum number of presets that we do have for artifacts and the maximum number of presets that we do have for pets. Lastly, we have a Seal of Undying quality of life change. This allows you to exchange 10 Seal of Undying instead of just 1. This will come up a little bit later in the patch notes, as Seal of Undying is getting slightly a rework to make them a lot more important as you get your endgame gear. And finally, we are actually going to get into some of the endgame changes that are being introduced to Black Desert via the Global Labs. So we will be receiving this information or these patches most likely November 13th, but this is just to keep in mind when it comes down to some of the stats and some of the requirements for the new gear that would be coming to the game. Edania has been added to Global Labs Black Desert. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time going over everything individually, as these notes themselves are as big as last week's notes, and we're going to go over them in the future. But I will do a quick rundown of some of the things that will be changing, and I will include a link to this information in the description below so you can get ready for some of the changes that will be coming. As you can see here, there's going to be a whole new quest line that's going to be added. This is going to be the new boss subjugation and how to get it done. Most notably from this is going to be the requirements to actually do a boss subjugation. So as you can see at the top here, it'll be a weekly boss subjugation, and you will need to meet the requirements for each boss to actually proceed with the challenge. So the lowest boss themselves will be Jordan, and it'll start out attack power of 350 AP or more and a defense of 427 DP or more. It only goes up from there, and the bosses included on these patch notes have Rusalka and Enslar. Here are going to be some of the rewards that come with each of the bosses, and these rewards will be gone over more in depth as the bosses are released, and the challenge that comes with being named Edana or the top PvPer for one of these castles. With these castles, there will be an application period, and it will be a free-for-all style event inside an isolated arena. The PvP for this will be uncapped, and once again, you will need to meet the base requirements to start this challenge. Monster zones have been added accordingly with the respective AP and DP of the bosses of the area. Next, we'll get on to some of the items that have been added to the game. The Edana armor is going to be released. So here's going to be some of the stats for the Edana armor. Right now they are in Korean. And here are going to be the requirements to make the new Edana armor. It looks like you'll need a piece of whaling armor and a Edana's fragment that will be obtainable from the bosses of the Edania land. Also, there has been a slight change to the information that has been given out at the hideout ball. Previously mentioned, if you had an obliterating piece of armor, you were able to change that into Oct. However, they have now changed that instead of receiving a piece of Oct gear, you will now receive a Nove Edania's defense gear. This is a big W for anybody that has gotten obliterating armor, as you're just going to be one below that final deck. And here we can see the changes in defense. So you'll be going up by 8 defense points if you transfer an obliterating piece, this is a Libresca piece, to an Edania helmet. And now we have all of the stats for each piece of Edana's armor. Definitely worth looking over. Pause the video if you get the chance. These will be the new defense stats for the best in slot armor in game. The new Edana armor will also come with a lighting effect similar to the new Sovereign weapons. The Edana armor will not glow gold, however, it will have a red glow that is applied to it, and it will have an increasing effect when it reaches Pen and Oct respectively. There will also be new enhancement protection items added to the game. These are primordial crystals. These new items will be similar to cronstones, as they will prevent the enhancement level from being decreased in your new Edana defense gear when using them. Here you can see the ways that they will be attained, and as mentioned earlier, it looks like Seal of Undying will be one of the ways to actually attain them. Sovereign subweapons have also been officially released for Black Desert Global Labs. And I will go over how to obtain Sovereign subweapons when they are further released on PC and console. Here are going to be the stats for the new Sovereign subweapons from 0 to deck. And here are going to be the enhancement probabilities for Sovereign subweapons from Pri to deck. Next, we're going to go over all of the items that are going to be added with the Edania patch. It's not going to be all inclusive, but it'll be some of the more important items that I skimmed over and are worth mentioning right now, so you can start preparing yourself for the patch when it comes up. We will have a new Lightstone of Fire Distortion. This will bring additional damage for all Edania mobs. This Flawless Visionary Crystal can be added to your Kabua's artifact or your Dekia's artifact to have additional effects applied to them. These will change these artifacts into Kabua's Visionary Artifact and Dekia's Visionary Artifact respectively. Next, we'll have Amplified Lightstones, which will add additional effects to your regular Lightstones. You will just need to obtain Crystallized Auras of Doom, Magic Fragments, and Magical Lightstone Crystals, add them to your original Lightstones, and you will receive the new Amplified Lightstones, which will have additional stats added to them. Here you can find the additional stats that will be added to each of the Lightstones. And once again, you can find this information in the link below in the description. And finally, we have the introduction of new Prime Dawns crystals and new perfumes and droughts. These new Prime crystals, just like with the Dawns before, will require additional materials to be processed with them to allow you to get the additional stats that are offered for them. And there have been new perfumes and droughts added to the game. As you can see, this new Perfume of Desire is going to go higher than the regular Perfume of Courage we have now when it comes to the attack power. And we have a new Perfume of Perseverance that will be coming to the game as well. These will be for the new Edania mobs that are coming in. So we have the increased AP to meet these zones. And some of the items that will be used to make these new perfumes and droughts will actually need to be acquired in the new Demon Land. There will be a change to the displayed AP when it comes to Debo earrings and Khara earrings. Each level from Hex up has increased by 1 AP. And finally, the last thing worth going over are going to be the additional PVE changes that have occurred in Global Labs specifically. So this has not been introduced to PC yet, and it's definitely not been introduced to console, but it is worth noting that PVE changes are still occurring all the way on Global Labs. Now, these class changes can possibly be rolled together with the PC changes that were received today, and we can possibly receive them next week, but I would be looking towards the September 4th update to be receiving all of these PVE changes, as they like to finalize a lot of the damage calculation before it is released for console. And these class changes themselves, although I have not gone over each one of them to see if they are a damage nerf or a damage buff, you can expect to see that Warrior, Tamer, Guardian, Dracania, Wusa, Scholar, Dosa, and Wukong will be receiving further PvE changes even after the ones that were received on PC today. Alrighty guys, that about does it for this week's weekly update for Black Desert Console. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. If there's something that you're excited for, please let me know in the comments below, and please let me know how you're feeling about the LOML QOL update as well as the damage calculation rework. You can look forward to me making a guide about the new changes for the Edania coming up shortly, and if you have anything else that you would like to add, just let me know. Otherwise, if this video has helped you, leave a like. If you like it enough, subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you in game adventures.